Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney.
And I'm MK.
And how are you? That's a very pointed way of saying your name, by the way.
I think that's because it sounded too short. Like as it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, my name is longer than that. And then I was like, no, it's not. I don't know. I'm having a day where I don't know how long my name is. That's where we're at mentally and emotionally.
That's fair.
Yeah, today was I feel like my life stories are going to go out of order for the next few podcasts because Courtney and I are just recording like a million things at once. So it's fine. But today I had my first appointment to try on wedding dresses, and it was awful. Um, I left hating everything about myself and wedding dresses. And it was fine. It was just at a boutique that was too small and really only had very, very new, very modern designers, and it just isn't what I wanted. But it was overwhelming and I hated it. And like I love the idea of never letting Dan see my wedding dress until the day of our wedding, but then I realized that that meant that I had to like try on dresses and not have his opinion and not like have him help me feel better and tell me that I'm beautiful and like calm me down when I'm stressed out. And I now think I don't want to do this anymore. He said, "You can wear whatever you want." And I said, "Oh, great. I can wear leggings and an oversized hoodie." He goes, "No." And I was like, "Well, then that's not whatever I want, sir."
And I'm gonna try my best to fill in as the you're beautiful and you're doing great.
You were great. I had my maid of honor and my sister and my mom there in person, and then Courtney and Bree were on the phone. So
And
it
Zara.
was and Zara, and baby Layla too. She didn't
Yeah,
really
she
have
just
much
did
to
that.
say.
She was there. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was okay. It was an experience that I had, and we'll move on.
Bigger and better. It only goes
I,
better from here.
it just feels so emotionally draining. Like I feel more tired today than I did after two turkey dinners.
Yeah. Well,
So
because you were still happy when you were eating turkey dinners.
that's true. Very
So,
true.
that's what it is. Well, yeah, I'm fine. I
Uh,
speaking of turkey dinners, I did a terrible one. I ordered out because it was
oh,
just me and I should not have. I should have just gotten like ramen or something like or
right.
like Chinese. I don't know. I should have done literally anything else and I didn't. Learn from your mistakes. But I did have a mostly good Thanksgiving regardless. I went to the parade. I did, however, learn that Cher was only at 34th Street, so I did not have Thanksgiving with Cher, which is unfortunate.
That is
Um,
unfortunate.
and I elbowed an English man a few times, but then we figured it out by the end. So
Good.
it was fine. I just ended up behind these people who were this really tall guy that I didn't know was so tall because they were sitting before, but one of their like family members was in one of the marching bands, so they were in the front, which is like fine. Like you're there before me, I'm not mad at you. I'll find a window
Yeah,
and
no, for
finish that.
sure.
And there was this like little family, this little English family beside me, and it was just the mom and a son. And then after I'd been standing there for an hour, the husband and other son come up and he like there's still room at this point because the grade hasn't started yet and he just stands right up against me and so I just started putting my elbows out and then he kept like leaning in front of me to take pictures and so I started coming from behind him with my camera to take pictures. I got very petty in the middle of this parade because I was
Right.
not but then by the end he told me that he was sorry if he was in my way and that I could just punch him if I needed him to move out of the way and I was like we're fine now. Everything's okay. And everyone moved on. Keenan and Kel were in the parade. I had no idea. I never looked up the lineup before because I like to be surprised. But I barely got to see them because they were in a car,
Yeah.
street. But
I
lovely
did, I didn't
nonetheless.
I didn't know anything about the parade, and then Dan just texted me and it just said peacock. For those of you who don't know, peacocks are one of my favorite birds. Dan and I have a whole thing about peacocks. It's fine, but I go, what? And then I
I'm like,
go,
peacock.
parade, question mark? And he was like, yeah. And then he sent me a picture of it. And I said, oh, that's cool. I'm not watching the parade. I'm cleaning.
I don't remember there being a peacock.
It was a float that looked like a peacock, not a balloon, like an actual float that had a
Oh,
peacock
I
on
do remember.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes, Back to the Future is coming up. And I said, great. Then he calls me and he's like, oh my God, turn on the TV. Back to the Future is starting. And I said, I am cleaning. Goodbye. And hung up on him.
Yeah. See, I don't know anything about the performances because I didn't stay on 34th Street. I always stay near Rockefeller because it's closer to my apartment. I just go straight
Yeah.
from my apartment. But I did
Which
prepare
is
better and watched all of my TikToks. Almost. I didn't really. I watched a lot of them, but I'm now completely caught up on TikTok in the past 6 months. So
nice.
I just texted
And
Rachel and I was like, I won. I did it.
you did. You survived. I knew you were caught up when you started sending me your own videos. I was like, oh, yes.
Those were videos Rachel had sent me that I thought you should also see.
Perfect.
So I was still going through Rachel's at that time. I haven't gone on my own yet. I haven't gone out to the wilderness yet.
Perfect. But thank you, Rachel.
Yes, those are all from Rachel. But yeah, so you know what else makes me feel better aside from elbowing Englishmen and watching parades? My spirituality. And so it'd be really cool if you could enlighten me a bit.
All right. Well, this is no,
Great.
this quote is very much about like spiritual enlightenment. It is very meta. It is not really uplifting. And also I wrote it 2 days ago, and now that I'm looking at it, I don't know what the fuck I was on when I wrote it. It says, only the disciplined ones in life are free. If you are undisciplined, you are a slave to your moods and your passions.
Okay, thanks. I hate it.
Thanks, me too. I don't know what I was doing.
Well, that's fine. Very uplifting. I'm gonna keep
Um,
following my passions
okay.
because my
No,
discipline.
but you can be disciplined in your passion. You just can't
Oh no, I
be
don't want to do that either.
okay. It's just like if you don't have any discipline in your life, like then everything that you feel controls how you function instead of just like letting you get through things. I
Yeah,
think that's how I took it.
that's fair.
I don't
I'm not
fucking know.
really getting through things right now because things don't quit. They just keep
Yeah,
going.
right.
So, but yeah, that's fine. You know what is uplifting? If we're gonna follow your definition of it. The Exorcist,
Oh
season 2,
my Lord.
episode 9.
Yeah.
Uh, Ritual and repetition. It's
Yeah.
discipline. It's
Yeah.
discipline.
It's discipline.
So we're there. We've made it.
Something.
It aired December 8th of 2017. It was rated 7.9 out of 10. The number one song is still Rockstar for apparently the rest of all time. I think album
Boy.
was done. Okay. Number one movie.
Yeah.
Accurately is Coco. But I also wrote down The Last Jedi this week because I went back to the website. So I did these notes like the same days I did my last notes and got them
Yeah.
wrong. And so
Yeah.
today I was looking through them. They all say The Last Jedi. They're like on December 1st, on December 8th. And I was like, you're wrong. And I followed your instructions. But when I looked at the New York Times
Which
thing,
website are you looking at?
I always do the like number one song on your birthday.
Oh, see,
On
for
my birthday.
movies, I always go to Box Office Mojo because that actually has the
Mhm.
numbers and you can break it up weekly, daily, monthly, and it's like the actual grossing numbers.
Yeah, that's fair. That's probably the best way to do it. But
For
this
the
one's been
song,
right every
no,
other time.
yeah. For the book, I just use the Wikipedia list of the top
New
10
York
of the
Times.
New York Times bestseller
Me
list.
too.
For the movie, I use Box Office Mojo. For the song, I look at the 8 highest Googled your number one song on your birthday websites and figure out which song is more often there because not all of them have the same answer.
I just do the number one song on your birthday, and I always the movie one, and then I went to Wikipedia for the book. But I have to make sure the movies actually come out before I say it's the one. I guess.
Yeah,
I
because
did fact check the internet. I mean, I did
Well,
know you should fact check the
yes,
internet,
you should
but
always fact check the internet.
this one felt low risk. This one felt a lot lower risk. It could be a little more
And you
accurate.
know what? The number of times that you've just told me what the number one movie was, and I just like blindly believed you, and it could have been wrong. But because it was a mistake about Star Wars, I was like, that's not correct.
Now we'll see how often it's correct. Moving on.
Yeah, right?
Because I probably won't actually change my ways. Just
Probably not. You'll say that you should fact check yourself, and you won't
I only did today because
because we had just talked
last
about
week.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The number one book was Hardcore 24 by Janet Ivanovich, which we've spoken about her before. And then on this day, I did fact check these things because what I didn't believe. The composer Jean Sibelius, it was his birthday. I didn't write down what year, but it was his birthday.
Right.
It is also National Christmas Tree Day. So this is tomorrow when you hear this.
Good. Yeah.
That tracks.
That does track, I think.
Because last week it was the day after, and it was the first.
Yeah. Oh, and today is also the first day of Hanukkah when you're hearing this. So happy Hanukkah.
And last but not least, the one that I thoroughly fact checked because I did not believe it came out this late in the year. The song "A Million Dreams" from The Greatest Showman was officially released on the Sound.
Oh, like as a single, like separate. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I sure didn't believe that, but it's accurate.
Fantastic.
We have a new director.
What a great time for that.
An alternate episode, I know. Great timing, great timing. Elizabeth Allen Rosenbaum, not related to Michael Rosenbaum because I searched very hard. Maybe she is, but I searched very hard and could not find a connection. And
it's just also funny because I did a double take when you said that because one of the most recent guest stars we talked about on Stargate was Elizabeth Rosen, not Rosenbaum.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, nope, you're still talking. Got it.
Different people. And her husband's Scott Rosenbaum. So I was like, okay, maybe it's one of his relatives. No, I cannot find a connection to Michael Rosenbaum.
Unfortunately.
They're just all in entertainment. It is what it is. But she's known for Dead to Me, Purple Hearts, and Empire. So she's got some big credits. Her husband's an executive producer as well. Does not have very big credits. And she's currently also a professor at USC's film school.
Fantastic.
She's won all of the awards. All of them. Actually, I don't know that she's won. I think she's won an Emmy and an Oscar, but she's won a lot of each one that she's won.
Okay.
Oh, she's doing well for this to be her first and last episode for The Exorcist. Spoiler alert, this is her last episode for The Exorcist.
Well, there's spoiler alert, not many episodes left.
Yeah. Only one. The writers, again, new writer. I think all of these people have worked in other areas of the show. Okay. They've just decided to join the directing and writing portion. They're producers or something else. But we have not anything we've talked about. So David Grimm, who we're familiar with, and then Sean Crouch, who's known for 1 Minute Machine, Glory and Injustice, and Numbers. One that has a 3 in it.
Numbers, yeah. Yeah, he was that show.
I've never seen it. I think I'd like it. He was never a writer on any of these shows. He was a co-producer on all of these shows.
Okay.
So that's his main gig. And then our star of the week is Hunter Dillon, plays Caleb. I have not talked about him, right?
No, I don't think so.
Great. I've spent a lot of time looking for him the other day, and so now I just can't remember what I've said and what I haven't said.
Right.
He's known for Holly Hobby, To All the Boys I've Loved Before, and Deadpool 2.
We definitely have not talked about him.
Great. Glad we're on the same page. And his on-screen debut was playing a young Sam Winchester, which he only did in one episode. But
interesting.
Fun facts for you. So, here we go. The penultimate episode of the entire series. We start back with a flashback of Tomas, a lot of flashbacks of Tomas, and then Andy killing people. So we're in a bad space. Things aren't
Yeah.
starting well.
No.
And we go to Marcus, who wakes up to Tomas just being lost in his brain. He
Mm-hmm.
goes and he finds him, and he's glazed over. But then Tomas like kind of hears him, but still doesn't wake up. And so Marcus just drags him through the house and shuts him up in the closet. And at the same
Was
time,
it a closet? I thought he put him in the bathroom with the dead body.
I thought it was the closet because I thought it was an
Maybe,
enclosed space. Could have been the bathroom.
maybe. I
I
don't
don't
know.
remember.
I just was like, oh my God, I can't believe like he stuck him in the bathroom with the dead body.
Yeah, I think it was the closet, but who
That makes
knows?
more
Who's to
sense. That makes way more sense.
say? But at the same moment, we see that Tomas is starting to realize that what he's seeing isn't real. So we're having a lot of this like mixed visual.
Yeah.
And then he is walking around. He's like, this isn't real. Nothing's real. And he walks into the church as a bishop, which is, he always wants to be the first Mexican pope. And so he's just making his way now. And he sees
Yeah.
Tara,
Mm.
who worked with him before as secretary. Yes.
All right. So before we get any further, I wanted to say, because I meant to say this last week, for some reason, for the first time in the entirety of the show, Hulu gave me a mature audiences warning on this episode. So I was like, oh my God, how bad is this going to be? Because, like, you guys have already listened to what happened in episode 8. I was like, what the fuck am I going to watch now if that's what happened in episode 8? That was my first thing that I meant to say when we started. My second thing is, as soon as they showed Tomas running into the church and Tara being there, I knew exactly how the demon was going to get himself caught. Exactly.
I did not. I was not prepared.
Oh,
Um, but we see Tara, and it's the church, and it's everything he ever wanted before he knew that he was going to be an exorcist.
yeah. It's basically the promotion and everything that was offered to him that he ran away from with Marcus instead.
Right. And so they're trying to convince him, like, if you hadn't gone into this exorcism life, this is what you would have been, and this is what you
Yeah.
could be. So then we go to the ferry, and there's two demons, is what I guessed. I was correct, but at first I was like, I think they're demons. And then we go into the
Yeah.
ferry box, and the ferry box guy has been killed. I don't know what that's called. I'm so
I
sorry,
don't
but
either.
the
The ferry
security
box
guy
Yeah,
is,
security ticket taker, something. I don't know.
yeah. But he has been killed, and they see Marcus's truck because obviously they're there to get Marcus because that's
Yeah.
who they've been chasing after all this time.
Yeah.
And they find his truck, and it's started up, and so they're just standing around. They're like circling it. They're getting ready, and then one of them gets, or they open the door to start shooting everything, and then one gets just pulled out of the truck immediately, and it's Mouse. Mouse has made it
I
to the
also
island.
knew it was Mouse, but I was like, yeah, that is the most badass thing I've ever seen when she just yanks him under the car and then uses his body as a shield.
Yeah, I did know it was Mouse, but I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
what the move is.
Right.
But yeah, she uses his body as a shield, and they both end up getting shot and dying. So 2 more demons gone. And Mouse gets up and leaves, and we see that she's almost to Marcus and Tomas, and we get the credits. So now we're back at Marcus, and he is going to Russ and Colleen's to check on the children because he knows something bad has happened since
Yeah.
Andy's gone,
He's
and
gone.
Tomas is also gone mentally. And
Right.
he finds their bodies, and so now he's concerned.
Yeah.
And we get our first flashback of the episode, and this is he's, what does that say? I am so sorry. I don't know what my words say. Oh, so we get the flashback of what actually happened at Russ and Colleen's. I thought
Yeah.
that's a great way to show with Marcus, but I meant that's a great way to show us by using Marcus going through the house.
Yes, the way that they did the flashback as every time Marcus walked into a room, we saw what had actually
Mhm.
happened the previous night. It was really, really like well done cinematography.
Yeah. And it was like, because sometimes like you could do a flashback, but it's boring, but you need both people to see. You need both us and Marcus to see at the same time without showing it twice. And so this
Yeah.
was a great way of doing it. So
Yeah.
we flash back and Andy's threatening Rose and he slams Verity against the fridge and her head hits, and that's where the blood came from that Marcus was
Yeah.
seeing. And then whenever she moves, he turns around and he sees the demon in the reflection in the fridge.
Yeah.
And he's just seeing demons everywhere. Um, and then we see Marcus find a pitchfork that's covered in blood.
Yeah.
And Rose, and we flash back, and Rose has run off, and she has a pitchfork. And you just don't know what's going to happen. Like, you know, Andy can't be dead yet, but you don't
Right.
know what else. Like, could someone else be dead, or could it be turned around?
Yeah.
And we go back, we see Andy's looking for her, and she stabs him with the pitchfork, which is where the blood comes from.
Right.
Takes it from her, but instead of stabbing her, he just knocks her out. Which thank
Hmm.
God, because I sure thought he was gonna just like got her like he
Right.
did Lauren, or Lorraine or whatever her name is, the mom.
Yeah,
But he knocks
Lorraine.
her out, and then Marcus just starts trying to follow the blood. So we're back at the ferry, and Andy's at the ferry now, and he's picking up all of the kids who have been waiting there for Rose to get back.
Yeah.
And Shelby is immediately skeptical, and he's like, we should wait on Rose. She's expecting us to wait on her. What's going on? And he's just like, this is over. It's okay. And I was like, you are just going to kill everyone. That's the plan now. I can tell that
Yeah.
that's the plan. And so that's not exciting for
No,
anyone.
no, no, no.
But he convinces them all to get in the car. And I think the only reason Shelby got in the car is because the other two kids just like had already gotten hit.
That
Because
was so stressful. When I don't often yell out loud at the show. I don't. I usually get really just either engrossed or I like take it in while I'm doing something with my phone, but like I don't because I'm usually too stressed out to even know what to say.
Mhm.
I was yelling the whole time. I was like, Shelby, don't do it. Shelby, you get those kids out of that car. I was like the whole scene with Andy and the kids in the car. I was like, Shelby, don't let
Yeah,
them.
I know. I was so concerned. And I literally wrote, don't do it, Shelby, like in my note.
Ugh,
So there's that. They're in the car now with him, which is bad news bears.
scary,
And we go back to
horrifying.
Tomas briefly, who's still in his head. But this scene is a little bit more intense, even though it's very short, because as he turns around to address the congregation, not only is it his old congregation, but it's also Casey, which I was shocked
I
because I
knew it.
thought the whole family was done. I thought we had well done with all of them.
Well, and that's what I said. I knew it. And my dad watched this episode with me. And he's not watched a single other episode. He just watched this episode with me because he was happened to be in the living room. And I said, I knew it. And my dad goes, what? I go, that's how he's gonna get himself caught. My dad goes, what? The demon is like mimicking Tomas's old church to like convince him that that's what's really going on. But Casey's not there anymore. Casey was already saved, and that's how the Tomas is going to really figure out that he's in a dream. And the demon is thinking he's getting away with something, and he fucked up. And my dad was like, "Okay,
You're
sure,
not, that is the proper
oh
level of like outrage to have and response to
yeah,
have. So
yeah."
your dad
I
just
was
doesn't
like,
understand.
no, because my dad had no idea who Casey was, and also why I cared that much.
Yeah, yeah, fair. But like, yes. It took me a second to recognize her because I didn't expect her. So I was
Mm,
like, what is going on? And then I was like, what is happening? Who is this? What are we doing? And then I was like, is that Casey? I was like, I don't know anything. But it wasn't
I
he?
don't know anything. I mean, that is how I feel after the show, most of the time. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the proper way to feel. Um, so we go to Andy and the kids, and he's now taken them to the abandoned house where the um, island witch, quote unquote, lives. And the kids start asking questions. And I was like, yeah, maybe we should have asked a few questions before we got here, but I guess better late than never. And they're like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Are we gonna, like, why are we here? And Shelby finally flat out asked him, and he's like, is the demon gone? And instead of responding, which is how you know it's not,
Right.
he just,
Which I find it fascinating that because this is a thing that has happened multiple times in this show. Andy doesn't answer that question. He just kind of like avoids it.
mm-hmm.
And the demons convince people of things. They persuade people of things. They tell you what you want to see and what you want to hear. But never once in the 19 episodes that we've watched of the show has a demon bold-faced lied. And that is so confusing to me.
Well, I think
So
they're
confusing.
not really allowed. Isn't that like part of being a demon?
Right. Well, but I don't know because the whole idea is like God is truth. Like
Right.
the whole idea of the religion is that God is the truth. God is incapable of lying. He is true all of the time. So you would think that like demons would feed off of lies. And that's why like lying is such a cardinal sin. So but it's weird to me that demons don't seem capable of like bold-faced lying.
So I didn't realize until this very moment, but I've always kind of related the way demons are to the Fae. And
Okay.
those are
Which
not
is
the same
no, but
creature,
it's not, but it might be
but
more related than
right.
people
Because
want
like
to
the
believe.
Fae don't, they mislead you, they don't tell you the truth. They're not always in it for your best interest, but they're not capable of lying. And that's kind of how I've always seen demons.
Right.
Um, I don't know that Fae are so much on the evil side though. I think they're more neutral than demons are. But like that's the idea that I've always seen. And I just realized that and I don't know why. I've always conflated the two because it doesn't
Yeah.
really make sense. But so I don't know if that's true, but I think demons can't
Yeah.
super lie. I think they can only mislead and
Well, I guess it also depends on where you look because I Googled are demons capable of lying and realchristianity.com says lies are natural to the devil and demons. They lie all the time.
mhm.
Um, but like and then a bunch of people are like posting Bible verses um about demons and lying and why we know the devils are liars and the
You can write an article
and then
about it.
there's a whole thing like called from an exorcist's diary about how demons are always lying and everything they
Mhm.
say is a lie, um which is what I have always been taught and or believed.
Yeah.
I
That
don't
makes the most sense.
It does, but this show does such a good job of never once. And like I think about all the things that have happened, and there has been like the visual hallucinations and the misleading and the promising things that you can't have kind of thing. Um, and
But also
then
like
there's
you could have it, just not in the sense of being alive and having it. You'd have to be in
oh,
your head. So
true,
like it's still
true,
not a lie.
right. But so like there's the empty promise thing, and there's the misleading, and there is the um digging at like being hurtful by digging at like insecurities, but
Mhm.
the demons have never lied, and that feels like something that I really need to chew on.
Yeah. I feel like I don't watch a ton of demon movies because they freak me out, but I feel like that's kind of a common thread. And
Right,
maybe it's just
but
the ones I've seen. So
right,
I
but
don't
like also why? Like if that's not the standard belief of like what a demon is in like actual religious writing, why do movies
like
make them
Hollywood
that.
demons.
Yeah. And does
Maybe
it
it's
have, but
maybe it's like
also,
blur the line between good and evil.
right. Does it also have to do with the fact that lying is so natural to our society that like we need some distinction between people and demons, and so the demons can't lie, and that's how you know that they're different than us? Like, is
Yeah, maybe.
I never thought that something like this would be so deep. But I don't know if I'll sleep tonight purely because of that.
All right, I feel like I need to write an article comparing the demons and the Fae and figure it out. So we'll come back to you. Maybe we'll have something for you in our
Maybe.
wrap up
Great.
in a couple of weeks. We'll see. Um, but yeah, at this point, Andy has started telling um, Harper that God killed her mom. Um, and that's really upsetting. And then he
That
starts,
was so upsetting.
yeah, and then he like pulls Shelby out of the car and starts hurting him and injures his leg so he can't get away, and then pulls out Harper. And oh my God, this was the most upsetting scene when
They
Caleb's
didn't,
glasses off and he had no idea what was going on.
and they didn't show anything that Andy was doing out of the car. They just showed the distress on Caleb's face, hearing it, not being able to do anything. And I was devastated.
It was so disturbing and so upsetting. And I felt so bad for Caleb. He was all alone and he gets out of the car. And at this point, it looks like no one's around, which doesn't make sense, but does seem to be what's happening. And then all of a sudden, you just hear Andy's laughter. And he finds a big rock to try and protect himself, but he doesn't even know what's around him because he can't see. And Andy pulls him back from the barbed wire, which he almost ran into.
Yeah.
It's like he saved him to kill him. Like it wasn't even like, I don't know, it was just all bad all around. So we go to Marcus and he's walking, or he's in the woods at this point, and he almost gets run over by a horse, and all of the animals are acting strange as they do when there's
We
demons around.
yeah, we know that.
So this is like we already knew there were demons around.
Do you
No big
think
shocker
that's why New York City rats are as fucked up as they are?
because there's demons everywhere. Probably
Yeah.
that's
Like
the most likely thing I've ever heard about the rats. So I'm sorry, I have to
that's
like.
no, it's okay. That's my theory.
I
New
think that's a
York
great theory.
New York City rats are affected by demons.
Yep, and they're all here. I would be shocked for you to tell me otherwise. So we go back to Andy, and everyone is now in his abandoned house. We find out that he
Yeah.
also put Rose and Verity there, um, and they're all very upset, obviously. And Rose starts telling Verity that she knows she can free herself. She's like, "I read your file, and I know you've been in these situations before," which is also devastating. Like these poor children,
Right.
all of them,
Right.
and it's like she's like, and I know that every time you've been like tied up, you've gotten out. And she's like, facts. Like, yes, I've done that. And then Andy comes back in before she can get out, and he asks him if they should wait for Truck or if they should just get started. I was like, leave Truck alone. Let him live. He's not even here anymore. He's
Yeah.
already in hell. Just leave him there. But then we go to Tomas, and I feel like maybe your life flashed before your eyes in this moment because we see Luis and his false brain. And I know you were very concerned about
I
him.
was very concerned about Luis,
Um,
but
but he sees Luis and he's like, "Are you going to my party like you said you would?" He's like, 1,000%, no questions. And I was like, "That's not quite right."
that's not how that's gonna go.
Yeah. And then Casey comes to visit, and she's saying that like, how are things going? Like she's like, my mom sent me because things have
She's
been weird.
basically, I'm pretty sure she says the exact same thing that she said in episode 1
Yeah,
or
I think
2.
so. I think so. Yeah, she said she feels like something's wrong with me, and or she like it feels like something's wrong with me, and
Yeah.
so she's there, and Tomas knows. He's like, none of this is real. He's like, you've already lost Casey.
No.
You can't convince me otherwise. Like, done
Yeah.
deal. We've moved on. And then we go back to Andy, who it's just breaking my heart. And he starts like talking to all of them, and he's like, maybe he was like, should we just finish the job that Chuck already started? And he starts choking Verity. And I was like, this poor child
That was
has
the
been through
worst.
so much trauma. And both Rose and Shelby yell at him because those are the stronger
Yeah, of
people that do it. And
course.
then Andy starts hurting Shelby again, but he keeps fighting. He doesn't give in. And he tells him he knows Shelby figured him out already. And it turns out that like ages ago, Shelby figured out something was wrong with Andy. When he was in the
Yeah.
woods hearing voices, whenever he got the lamb, it was to ward off the demon in Andy, not to ward off some other potential threat. Like, but
Yeah.
we also learn that lamb's blood doesn't protect against demons.
Because
Which
it is, that makes sense because it's literally like what God told the Israelites to do to protect them
right.
from the in Egypt. And so like of course it's if it's a directive from God, the demons are not gonna have a fucking care in the world about it.
Yeah. But I like didn't realize it until he said it, and I was like, no, that makes sense. But
Yeah.
also sucks. And then he
Yeah.
just tells Shelby that he's gonna go last. And
Yeah. But then the worst part is that he said that after that, he said that Caleb was going to go first. And you know, he only said that because there was going to be no joy for Caleb going last because he couldn't see it and watch it happen. And I was like, that is the most fucked up thing.
yeah, yeah. And but he did bring back Caleb, and he starts bringing back, and he's like, why don't we have some fun like we did before? And brings back the memory of Grace being the one to walk Caleb out to the well, as we all knew. As
Yeah.
we all knew.
We knew it was Grace before we knew that Grace was a demon.
Yes. Yes. Because she was super shady, even if we didn't know she was a demon.
Right.
But then at this point, Rose starts distracting him by calling him a coward, and she's taunting him, and she's like, you're weak. She's like, you're only doing this because you're weak, not because of any other
Yeah.
reason. And so he hangs Rose over the well, and he tells her to start counting. And I was like, don't do that. Don't count. We don't need you to die. And he started counting for her. And as he does, the boards are slowly breaking.
But also, this was funny. Obviously, it was funny because, I mean, it was supposed to be, and like you're not rooting for the demon. But when he just goes, oh, do I have to do everything myself around here? I was dying.
I know. It felt like a cartoon demon more than it did
Yes, like it sounded like something Hades would say in Hercules.
Yes, 100%. But as the boards are breaking below her, they all break, and she doesn't drop. And he goes to walk away and turns back around and says, congratulations, you're part of the family now. And she immediately drops. And I was like, that's so sad. And then
That's so sad.
we see Verity trying to break out again, and Andy comes in to say the truck is going last now. Of course, he's not there, so he's not going to risk leaving the island to go get him.
Right.
And then Shelby starts saying the Lord's Prayer, which feels like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Except Andy then finishes it. And so that's not great. But also at the same moment, it's given time for Verity to break out, and she escapes.
She just fucking books it.
So there's a bit of hope. Tomas, we go back, and Casey Demon, which is what I'm now calling, I just call the demon by whoever they're inhabiting.
Yeah.
So Casey Demon is offering him this bishop's life and telling him that she can help him get to the Mexican Pope, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And she tells him that that Andy's going to kill them all, and it's fine, and that Rose is already dead. Which Andy probably thinks she is dead, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So we go back to the cabin, and we start hearing footsteps again. But in a not at all shocking twist, it's Marcus.
Which I thought it was going to be. I was hoping it was going to be. I was still so relieved when it was.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like it had to be for the plot to keep going, but I also, like, genuinely was holding my breath until the door opened, and then I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. Like I knew it was gonna be him, but I still was pleasantly
Yeah,
surprised when it was him.
right.
Um, and then Shelby says that he'll handle everything here once he starts untying them. He'll get everyone untied and gone. And Marcus should just go after Verity. He's like, you go get her and I'll take care of everything here because he just has stepped up like a pro. Um,
Yes.
and Verity, who we go to next, is trying very hard to be like conniving and she's being very smart. She starts walking backwards so that you can't tell where her footprints are going.
Yep.
Um, and then she hides in this like big web
Because,
cocoon
the
thing.
spiders are also animals that go fucking bonkers when there's demons around, and there's just like nasty, nasty spider webs and bugs fucking
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, not great. And so as soon as Shelby starts untying everyone, Harper immediately runs to the well. And we learn that Rose is still alive. She's just in the bottom of the well now. And she's not going to make it forever. And they decide
No,
they're going to get ropes to get her out. And she's telling them all to leave.
leave.
And then she finds broken glasses. She finds a snake. Like, it's not a good situation in the well.
No.
So we go to Tomas, who is still in there with Casey in his brain. And this is where we get our line of with ritual and repetition and the powers in the repetition, etc.
Mhm.
And so the demons are saying if they're, both sides are using this tool,
Yeah.
and it's making the demon stronger. And Casey Demon says it's given her so much power. She's like, I've been doing this for years, been killing all these families, been doing all this thing, and I've gotten so much power from it. Like,
Yeah.
there's no stopping me now. And she was like, and also I always give everyone what they want, which is why we get here in the end. And she's like, including making you the first Mexican Pope. And he says that that's not his desire anymore.
Yeah.
So she can't do that because his desire now is to watch the demon die. And I was like, go,
Yeah.
Tomas. Tell her.
Oh, he
Tell her.
got so feisty in that moment. I
Mm.
was so proud of him.
Ugh, me too. So we go back to the well and they get Rose out, which is shocking. I thought something bad was going to happen and it didn't. They just got her out. She immediately falls over because obviously she's fallen into a well. And she's like, you guys know you should have left me, right? And Caleb says, we don't leave family behind. I was like, you have rebuilt
Right.
your own family.
Oh, I know.
So Verity's in the web, as we talked about. Bugs are crawling all over her and her face. And Andy loses her footprints, but finds her anyways. And he cuts her out of the web, starts
Mm,
like smothering her with the cobwebs, which like isn't a great visual. It doesn't really look like he's smothering her with anything.
right. No, it feels more like the prank that like a kid plays on the playground to like freak someone out by touching cobwebs to their
Yeah,
face. It doesn't feel like it's actually doing anything, but then she's also like choking, and I'm just very confused with what they thought they were accomplishing with that scene.
right. So I don't know if it was like the demon's power was like suppressing her breath, but also there was a cobweb on her face, or if they were trying to pretend
Yeah.
the cobweb was choking her because it wasn't. Um, yeah, not a stellar, one of the more stellar scenes. So she starts trying to talk her way out of it, obviously. So she calls him dad and she's trying to bring him back, and he keeps coming at her. And Marcus flies in out of nowhere
Right.
to start beating him up. And he tells Verity to run off and he tells her where to find everyone else. And so she does. And then he starts the power of Christ. And the demon finishes again. Compel me, Marcus. And this demon quoting all these like Bible and exorcism things, not great news, not looking
No.
good for anyone. Um, but on the positive side, Tomas finally wakes himself back up, but he still sees Casey Demon in the house who starts fighting him. And he just can't seem to get away. He sees, and then we go back to Andy who's choking Marcus and and then Marcus and is dropped when Tomas starts fighting back with the demon because
Yeah.
Andy just gives out. And then we see that the Andy demon has gone back to the house and he tells Tomas that he can't fight anymore. And he basically just asks him to kill him. He's like, you have to end this. Like,
Yeah.
there's only one way to do this to protect everyone. And plot twist, he wasn't really awake because now he's really awake with Mouse standing over him who just says, I'm Mouse and I came a long way to find you. And that's
Yeah.
the end of the episode.
Yeah, but the thing with Andy was like not really awake, but it was like Andy was awake. Like it was they were both
Yeah.
in the same plane of existence.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was imagining Andy saying that to him. It was
Right.
more like Andy was actually begging him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which we'll see more in the next episode too. But yeah, they ended up in the same like mind palace. Not in the drug kind. But like, yeah. So good times. Good
Yeah.
times. Um,
Let me guess. No trivia.
I have 73 pieces of trivia. I'm just kidding. There's none. There's no trivia.
There's none.
There's no
None.
trivia. Um, so on that note, who do you want to punch?
Um, I think I would like to punch Tomas. Because while he did like go through some shit this episode and like realize that he has to fight the demon and like get out of it, do you know how much less fucking garbage would have gone down in this episode if he had not been in a closet thinking he was a pope?
So much less. So much less. I was a man, yeah. That's fair.
Yeah,
He was my second pick, so that's a proper
fair.
pick.
Yeah,
I did go with Casey Deepin
fair
specifically.
enough.
She
Yeah,
was not great.
yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. So who's your MVP?
Shelby.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the proper one, only one. I
yeah,
mean, he did everything this episode.
yeah,
I know she wasn't really in this episode a lot, but I did
yeah,
go with Mouse for mine
which is
because
fair.
she finally broke Tomas out of it and made her way out there, killing her way through the demons to get to where she needed to help protect all included.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and we don't have any predictions because we have already seen next week's episode.
Correct.
So, um,
But just as a spoiler for you guys to be intrigued to watch next week's
ooh,
Thriller Thursday, I'm going to go off in a way that I don't think even Courtney is prepared for.
oh, I'm not. I'm so excited though.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
Oh, I cannot wait. So stay tuned for that because it's going to be a
Yeah,
thrill ride.
yeah.
I don't know what it is, and I can guarantee it is. Oh, can't wait. All right. Well, you have thoughts, feelings, ideas? You have plans for our next series after the second season of American Horror Story? You can shoot them our way. Send
Please
us an
do.
email, deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social medias at Death and Aliens. If you'd like to find me, you can find me at CECloud13.
And you can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And we will see you for the finale of the series of The Exorcist next week. See ya.
Bye.